Hey guys, today we're going to discuss about how we can install Docker on your Windows laptop. So, so the scenario is you don't have enough resources, you don't have virtual machine available, or you don't have the infrastructure available where you can install Docker. So this tutorial basically help you to configure the Docker CLI on your laptop so that you can explore the Docker features and you can create containers, you can deploy apps, you can create Docker Swarm, you can deploy multi-tier applications, you can do a lot of things on your laptop itself. So the best part of this particular installation is uh, you can deploy the entire the Docker on your laptop itself, and there is no dependency of any other infrastructure. So let's get started. So basically, there are two versions of Docker tools available. The first one is they call it as a Docker toolbox, which is the older version, which can be used for your Windows 7 laptop. And the latest version is the Docker for Windows, where uh, Docker basically gives you the installable packages. You can deploy it. It also gives you access to the front end UI, which they call it as a kitematic, or you can spin up the containers from the back end too. So let's get started. So as I have the Windows 10 laptop, so what I'm going to do is I'll just do uh, install Docker for Windows, and then I'll go to the document. So there are two versions available. The first one is the stable, the other version is the edge channel. So stable version is the most preferred one, which is I would say the most stable versions of the Docker. So basically, there are two versions. The first one is the CE, which is known as the Community Edition. The other one is the EE, which is the Enterprise Edition. So for Enterprise Edition, you have to pay. The Community Edition is free, and in Community Edition, you have two channels: the stable and the edge. The stable channel. Is the as the name itself help you understand that it's the most stable version of your Docker available, and the edge channel is, they call it as an experimental, because the edge channel gets more frequent updates, and but there are chances of the bugs or the instability of the application, because it just receives the what do you call it? It just receives the latest versions or the latest features of in the edge channel, but it's not that stable. So we always go with the stable channel. So I'll just click on the stable channel, and it will install Docker for Windows for me. So we just have to wait for 18 seconds. So meanwhile, what I'm going to do is I'll just copy this link and I'll put this into the description box so that it will help you to it will make your work easy. Okay, so as it's downloaded, let me click on that. And while it's unpacking all the executable packages, let me show you one more thing over here. So when you don't have a Windows 10 laptop, what you can do is you can use this one, which is known as Docker Toolbox. So the benefits are, when you go for Docker Toolbox, it basically installs the kitematic for you, through which it's a kind of an UI through which you can deploy your application. So you don't have to write the commands to deploy the application. You can do it from the front end, but it won't give you access to the UI, and it also sorry, it will not give you access to the PowerShell from where you can run the commands. but and also it's the older version, so you have the commands like the docker compose, the docker machine, which is also available in the latest version, but there you use docker stack, or you basically replace your docker compose command with docker stack over there. And same way, you use docker machine in the older version. In the latest version, you just run the command docker and you give the arguments. So as it got installed, what I'm going to do is I'll just close this, and if I'll go, let me try to launch it. So I'll just type in docker for Windows, or I can do one more thing. I can just go my screen, and if I'll click on this one, it basically launches an app where it will prompt me to enter the username. So basically I have a Docker repository where I keep all my containers, or the images of my containers. So if you see on the right side, it's basically initiating. So what it's doing is, if I'll launch my Hyper-V, so what it's doing, it basically creates a wrapper kind of a thing where it will deploy a virtual machine for you, for me. So the first one is for the Kubernetes. The second one is for the Docker for Windows, where it will deploy an a virtual machine for me, and all my containers, whatever containers I'll spin, it will get deployed in that particular virtual machine, right? So if you see, it still shows at starting, and on the left side, if you see, it says the VM is up and running. So we might have to wait for a few more seconds, and our VM should be up and running. So by default, in Windows 10 you have Hyper-V configured. You can also integrate your Docker for Windows with VirtualBox, but here, as I'm using Hyper-V, so I'll go with that only. So I'll just close this off, and in just few seconds you should get a message. Let me open it and see what exactly is happening at the console. So connect. So as the VM is still getting provisioned, so it's taking time. It's giving me an error that it's not yet up, and the session is getting disconnected.